All right. Ani, bonsoir, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting. Today is National Indigenous Day, and I would like to wish every person the very best. And I think it's appropriate that we start our meeting with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people in the Robinson Huron Treaty area and wish to recognize the neighboring community of Dokis First Nation. While we meet today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their culture. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. So tonight, prior to going into the agenda, we have something very special happening tonight. And we're going to be saying goodbye, or no, not goodbye. We're going to say adieu to our Director of Operations, Bob Martin. And I wanted to take a couple minutes. I know I scared you yesterday when I said I was going to roast you, but I'll be more or less nice. The municipality of French River has had the privilege of having Bob work for us since 2004, where he was appointed Parks and Recreation Coordinator. And 7 months later, Bob was promoted as Recreation Manager, where he continued to devote his time ensuring that all our recreational facilities were up to standard. In 2016, he accepted the position of Acting Manager of Public Works and was promoted in 2019 as our Director of Operations. And now, June 2023, he dares take his retirement. In my 9 years on council, I found Bob a little hard to figure out compared to the rest of the staff. And that's because he's so quiet, unassuming, and easy to get along with. What I learned over the years is that hardly anything really upsets him as he takes everything in stride. However, there are a few times, not too many that I've seen your buttons being pushed. And you handle that quite with grace and professionalism. It's hard for me to say adieu because we as a council will greatly miss you. We thank you for your outstanding dedication to French River. I was searching a word to best describe you, and it came to me yesterday at the barbecue. And what it is I think you're a gentleman, a fine and humble one at that. Before we send you off to a much-deserved retirement, I want to share with everyone a little story about how Bob came to my aid back in March. So picture this, it's a Friday. It is Albin Seniors luncheon at the ACC. And one of the things that I do for them is I go open up the ACC early in the morning so that the cooks can get in there and et cetera, turn on the lights. Well, as I walked into the ACC, I noticed that there was maybe a little smell coming from the accessible washroom. Well, I thought, well, I better check that out. So I went to open the door. The door was locked. I thought, who would lock the door? So I tried again. Then I looked for keys, couldn't, and then of course, in my mind, the smell was getting worse. And I was getting a little frantic. And so I called the office and then spoke to Mel. Where's Bob? Where's Bob? And you were in a meeting. And so it didn't take very long that maybe 20 minutes later or so that Bob arrived. In the meantime, I'm in the kitchen with the cooks and the volunteers setting up. And I come out and I see Bob walking towards me. And I said, oh, good, Bob, you're here. Thank you, thank you. What's wrong? Did you fix it? Did you fix it? He says, come with me. And I thought, did you fix it? Come with me. Very quiet, just come with me. So we get to the bathroom and look at the door and it's closed and try to open it and it's still locked. And so he says, no, push the button. And then the darn door opened and I didn't realize that we needed to push a button. And then we started giggling. I was so embarrassed. I thought, made him come out from way out from here in Wellville to Alvin just for me to learn how to push a button. So for you, that's going to be my favorite memory of you. You didn't scold me, but I think there were some words coming through your mind, not that I read minds or anything like that. So with that, Bob, I want to present you a little something. I know you don't want I don't know, there was no smell. That's the thing, there was no smell. It was just me being me. So again, Bob, thank you. And yeah, Bob.
I just want to wish you, Bob, all the best. And I was trying to think up of something to roast, not roast, but all what I could come up with was that I'm gonna wish you that you get many enjoyable halves hockey. I can't do this. I hope you learn how to swear in your retirement watching the Montreal Canadiens. Bob, all the best to you, you and your family. And I have a sneaky suspicion that we might see you in the future. So all the best, Bob.
So a very happy retirement, and I could have kept you for last, but that's how much I respect you. So we did it at the beginning. Though you should have, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, which I encourage you to do. All right, thank you. So on to the meeting. So I need a resolution to adopt the agenda. Renee and Dean, all those in favor? Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interests? No? All right, so tonight we have a delegation and we have, and it's the delegation is in response to the expression of interest for the development of an affordable seniors housing project. And tonight we have with us John Demise. How do you say your last name? Demise, I did say it, okay. Dave Butler and Keith Harriman. So who's going to present with regards to the project? Oh, all right. Okay, so you need to push the button.
Push the button. Usually you don't need the button, but I'll start. Listen, I want to thank everybody for allowing us to get on this agenda. I know you have a very busy schedule, so we will be brief. We sent in our proposal. It pretty much covers everything, but we just wanted to sort of meet everybody, put a name to a face. So for those who haven't met us formally, my name's Keith Harriman. This is Dave Butler and John Demise. I have over 40 years of housing experience in the planning and development field. So I've been doing this for a long time. I'm the planner. Dave is the finance guy with probably similar number of years of experience. And John is our builder who has similar, maybe not as many years. He's much younger than I am, but in any event. What I do know about your community is you have 6 wards, you have 4 communities within the village. You have a population that's pushing 3,000. And your demographics, from what I gather so far, show that roughly half your population is 60 and over. And that's very similar to all the municipalities we work with in the north in the same position, even though it's higher than the provincial average. And so that's the kind of area that we like to work in. We know there's a demand for affordable housing for seniors in particular. We've been doing this through the north for many years. Years ago, when there was financing available from the government, it was pretty easy to put together projects. And as the federal government ran out of money and COVID really finished that off, there was very little money available. So we needed to refine our housing plan to be very creative and to work with municipalities. And what we found is bringing all the strengths that we bring to the table in working with communities and identifying the need and the location. And once we identify all that, collectively, we work together to create the housing model. So from the proposal we put in, you can see that there is a lot of experience we bring on the table. And I'll let Dave talk a little bit about the financing part, so.
Okay, well, good evening. My name's Dave Butler. I'm an accountant by trade. Don't hold that against me. I thank you, Mayor, Council, staff, and Bob for having us here. We appreciate that. The proposal that we provided, a response to the expression of interest, is pretty explanatory, although it was pretty general too, because we wanted to just show or have an illustration of some of the things we do. So those numbers that you see in there were just sort of a what if type numbers, just to give you an idea on how we approach these projects. But for me, there's a few main points that I want to leave in the back of your mind before we leave. And that is, we make housing possible in smaller communities with our knowledge and experience. We don't develop it for ourselves, we develop it for the community. So the community builds it, community owns it, and the community runs it with our assistance. And some of the other things, it's a turnkey, like we provide all aspects of the housing projects, from setting up the nonprofit to developing policies and procedures, helping you manage it after it's built. Just the whole looking at the surveys in the community, building occupancy lists. Like there's a lot of things that we do, the whole turnkey. And believe it or not, we do this on a fixed price. So in other words, there's no overruns here. It's design build. John has a process where this is your price. He has a bondable service. Like he builds this. You won't see overruns or being more, unless you ask for more, unless you ask for a larger scope of work, then the price can change. But generally the price doesn't change. And that's super important for you guys. It mitigates a lot of the risk for you. The other interesting thing is that the municipality doesn't need any cash. They don't need any money. They don't need any capital, because we come up with creative financial solutions. In other words, we provide or find 100% of the financing that's available at really exciting terms that allows you to debt service at a lower amount so that you could charge less in these housing projects. A lot of the things we do is we have inherent items in our package that mitigate all the risks. So in other words, we handle everything. John has bondable services, so there's no exposure to you in any of these projects. After we arrange the financing, all of the soft costs, all of the studies, everything is built into the capital cost. So you'll notice in the package that the first element of our program is that we have to go into the community to find out what's going on. In other words, is there a real need? How great is the need? We provide surveys. This is mostly part of Keith's job as a planner, to identify, is this project going to be viable? Is there enough people to live there? What would they eventually want to pay? There's things like that. So we go into the community, and then we come back, and after we found land, the suitable land and all that stuff, we come back with a more formal presentation after a period of time, maybe a month or 2 months. And then we come to you with, this is what it should look like. This is how it should function. It's viable. sustainable. This is how we would put it together, and then we would come up with a development agreement and move forward that way. And so that's kind of the things I wanted to leave into your mind. The rest of this package is more window dressing than anything. John, is there anything you wanted to add to?
Dave, you said most of it. I just maybe want to expand on the fact that as a builder. As a builder, relying on our experience, we're also a developer. And what's worked really well in what Dave's presented as far as what our proposal indicated for having a turnkey solution is take the guessing side of it out of the construction process through almost the reverse engineering by starting with that market demand and the sizing of the unit based on that market demand, then work backwards, including everything from the financing and whatnot, and then build something to that, to meet that, rather than go out not really being sure what the community needs, getting a design and a plan that gets brought to market and is over budget and then doesn't necessarily might not fit the needs of that particular community. So we help turn that process into a little bit more of a sure bet and a more understandable experience to get the right fit for the communities. And really, I think that's been our success with small communities, to help them do that and provide that services where they might not necessarily have that engaged, or might not necessarily be able to put all the pieces together, because it would take a larger team to be able to associate that. So we help make it more feasible from the ground up. So that's the only point I wanted to add to your equation.
So I think the analogy I always use for groups is it's like a puzzle. Sometimes there's 1,000-piece puzzle, or a 5,000 or 500, but we collectively all work together to put the pieces together, and eventually it starts taking a framework and starts establishing something. And that's when we know we have a project. So, and that's why we'll be relying on Mark and his team to sort of help us with some background knowledge and location of the land and some of the prime contact people in the community. And then we hit their ground running after that. So we didn't really want to expand too much more on what our proposal, because it was 39 pages, a lot of information in there. And I don't want to belabor that point and bore everybody, but we'd open it up to any questions anybody has. So.
Questions? Dave?
I have a question that maybe you can't answer right now, but do you have an idea, like I wouldn't hold you to it right now, but do you have an idea on how many units that like normally a community this size would hold?
Based on other projects that we've done, my initial feeling would be somewhere around 25 to 30 units.
Okay.
So, from what I'm looking at in the community so far, I don't see any specific senior projects in the area. I see you have several rental places, but specific to seniors, and I don't think there are any unless I'm,
No.
you know, so.
And from a finance point of view, I'll just jump in here, is that there's a sweet spot in building these sizes, economy of scale. If you build 10, it's hard to make it profitable and sustainable. But if you build that number between 25 and 35, depending on the community and the style, it generally is viable and sustainable anywhere. So we try to keep I don't want to scare anybody by the size of this unit. Also, we could probably, I haven't spoke to John about this, but maybe build two, because you guys are spread out, or maybe 3 smaller ones within your different communities of maybe 15. And that way, if we built them all at the same time, it could be, again, the costs would be good. And you would have, representation in different areas. We could talk about that. That's some of the initial discussions we have to have. But your answer to your question is you need around 30, because you need to pay the bills, right?
Right, yeah.
And we also, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. We also, when I looked at the demographics, you have a good percentage of your population that identify as First Nation. So you would be eligible for their funding source, which is a higher percentage. There's more money in that fund than there is at the provincial or federal government. So that's what I'll do, is I'll start looking at different pockets that we can pry into. So.
Thank you.
Renee?
Okay, so normally when you start a project like this, start to finish, you're looking at how many years? Roughly? 2 years, 3 years,
We-
5 years?
We provided. okay.
Yeah, so just working backwards, the actual construction of a project of that size, so let's just assume 30 units would take less than 1 year. However, there's always elements that are the undetermined factor, which has to do with anything from site servicing, land use planning. So different communities and different sites have different. We might have to get a severance on a parcel, so in some areas it might take 4 months, in other areas it'll take 8 months or a year. So something like that, it puts the large variable, but if in a perfect world, there was a piece of property that was already perfectly suitable, services right nearby. The administrative side of it, meaning getting the financing, the design, and the concept takes about 4 to 6 months, and then the build takes roughly 12.
And
Sometimes it can happen concurrently, some of that stuff, so it could end up being from 12 to 14 in a best case scenario. And that's why in the situation like this, you know, when you head into a winter or fall, that is perfect planning portion of the time. So there's studies involved as well in this case to ensure we've got the right demographic and the right size units and the right number of, whether it's 1s, 2s, 3s, whatever it needs to be, whether it's multi-story or single or walkout style or balcony style or whatever it's the exact details are going to be. That takes a little bit of time in that process as well. So I guess the quick answer is could take anywhere from 12 to 18 months on an optimistic scenario. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in your case, because the municipality is driving this project, you're holding all the cards. When we
Mhm.
deal with a nonprofit, they go to the municipality for all the approvals. And like John said, that's where you get into the time delays.
Yeah.
This case, it'll be a lot faster because it's your decision.
And so working with communities in the north, I guess you've done a few projects, you said, so you've dealt with communities that don't have city water or
Yes.
sewers.
Yeah,
That's something you guys are used to,
Oh, yeah.
because we do have that issue out here. I mean,
It's pretty much. the
we have
same.
sewers here in Novel, but I mean, Alvin doesn't have sewers, right? So that would be
Yeah.
something,
And the sewer side of it is the more important, like if you have an area where it's serviced for sewers. I'd lean towards that than somewhere just for well is easier to deal with and to find the water source. Yes, hydrogeo studies need to be done and whatnot, but. There are pros and cons that we'll vet through that process. If you have a series of potential parcels that this spot or this spot or this spot. We'll help go through that and present what is the most viable options for those parcels of land to get you the best potential location. And if there's one that absolutely has to be, considered, then we can show how that would affect budget and that kind of stuff. So.
I see a nice field out back.
Yeah.
yeah. I know I for myself think it's a great project. I would love to see something like this happen. I know this community has tried many a times over the past 30 years to try to bring in something
We-
similar to this.
We hear it all the
We
time.
hear it all the
All
time.
the time.
Yeah, so I would love to see, hopefully we can make this work and
So-
I think it's a great project.
Yeah, thank you. I just have 2 more points to add to that while we're
Yeah.
there. In our proposal, we had suggested that this project could start soon after we finish here, and a resolution by council was agreeing that we move forward on our plan. We could be doing the design phase and in the field surveys this summer. Design over the winter, start next spring and digging and have it done by the end
And
of the
what's the
year.
cost of a planning right off the intended?
Yeah, so the other thing I might say is all of the work from now until you sign a development agreement is speculation. You won't get any bills. You never will get any bills. This is, first of all, we got to find it if there is a project. And then we got to find out whether it's viable, and whether you want to do it. our letter of intent that we plan to execute with you folks, if you want to move forward, will say that all of this work between now and the development agreement is on speculation, our speculation. You won't get a charge for that. In the event that the project move forward, of course, we expect to be able to sign the development agreement with you based on our information, right? So that's kind of something I wanted to bring up so that everybody's aware of that. So don't think you're going to get a bill for keep knocking on doors to get information. This will all be in order to prepare that proposal for you sometime in the next couple of months.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Roger?
Basically, what you're trying to put through to us is you are a design build company. You design, you built it, you walk away, people move in. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah, here's the keys and the tenants, and in fact, we go one step further. We also have property management, so we will engage in the rental process if you so desire for us to do that. We'll also vet the tenants, process and screen, and go through the rental and then help with the management.
Okay. Great, thank you. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's because John is saying that nonprofits, as a rule, sometimes don't have the capacity to manage things. And sometimes they're new and they're inexperienced, they're volunteer boards. And so they need a little bit of coaching, especially in the beginning. So usually the first year after occupancy, John's company, he manages many buildings in North Bay area. And so he does it, and you eventually train the nonprofit group to be able to manage their own at a more cost-effective way, right? So that's why these things work. We just don't run away. We make sure that they're going to work, right, for you. Thank you.
Other questions? I see we have members of the Economic Development Committee. If you have, oh, Dave, sorry, I missed you.
It's all right. I just wanted to, and maybe for my own purpose, just be clarified. I trying to understand exactly what ownership is going to be. Is it corporate ownership? Is it your company that's going to own this building?
We won't own it. We do it for the municipality. We walk you through the process. You can keep ownership of it when you're done, or you can create a nonprofit with an oversight agreement with council representation on the board. And the nonprofit is a corporation by itself with full control by council.
Yeah, this is not for us.
Not for us.
So just to kind of be clear on this, how do you make any money on this?
Well, it's in the contract to build. We build our fees into that. And only if it becomes, as Dave has mentioned, we do all the upfront work. And we work with the staff and bring it back to council, say, okay, this is economically sustainable. Here are the numbers. Here's the cost of the building. We have a bank that's willing to finance it 100%. It's a whole package deal. And once we start building, then that's when we start recovering our fees. All of us.
I'm still not clear on how you're making any money.
As a, you want to explain how the builders?
Out of the construction costs, we capitalize our fees into the overall
Okay.
cost of the project. And that becomes part of the return that we will get for doing the work.
But ultimately, the
charge-
final cost of the building includes something for your company. Yeah,
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And afterwards, the property management, we will charge a property management fee for the first year,
okay.
which will be set at standard industry going rates. Usually it's somewhere in the range of 4 to 6%. And of the rental revenues, and that's just a typical property manager, but it's all open for review based on the type of units that we're going to have, and that is for the first year. And after that, it's, if you want to continue, then you continue to either hire another third party or continue with us or self-manage. We have some people that
Okay.
prefer to self-manage because they have a senior who wants to take
That-
on some responsibility, and they pay them or give them abatement on rent or something.
That option lies with the municipality. Yeah,
It's all the municipalities' option.
okay. Thank you.
There's a, oh, okay, Dave.
Just a question on it. Let's say we go through with this and we start the build. When you build, do you have like all your contractors set up in that, or is there an opportunity for local contractors and stores to participate in the build?
And thank you for asking that. I think that was put in the proposal, but for the most part, it is extremely important for us to buy local where we can. Meaning if there's electrical trades locally here, plumbing trades, carpentry trades, we will first start there. If there's a local, the local building yard, we'll go there to purchase all of our supplies, because we want the funds to stay as much as they can in the community. Unfortunately, one of the things we've also, encountered in a lot of smaller communities, sometimes there are a limited number of trades or limited capacity. So when you say I want to put 30 units in, 9 out of 10 electricians can't handle that capacity to get it done within the 12-month period. So, but we work with them, we try and even maybe sub out portions of it, whatever we can do. So we do reach out to, and we ask, that's part of our initial process. We ask for as many names locally, so we can try and rely on as much local people to ensure they're participating in the construction of the project, and we build that in.
Perfect. Thank you. As long as the opportunity is there for,
100%.
thank you.
Other, yeah, any other questions? A question? Sebastian, are you okay? All right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I need you to go to a mic though.
Yeah,
It's
why
because
not?
it's broadcast, so.
I was just wondering about why seniors? And are you talking about 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom units?
It's been requested of us to see if we can identify the need for seniors. It's council's ultimate decision, whether it's because some of the projects we call seniors 55 and above. So it's what the demographic demands are. And once we do the survey to find out what the needs are, then we can come back and say that there's a need for X number 2 bedroom or X number 1 bedroom. We mix them up.
But it has to be seniors.
That's council's
That's
decision.
council's Decision.
Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
No.
It can be market.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming there's funding available. for that.
You still need to go to the mic.
Okay, so
I'm just assuming that there is some kind of government funding right now being offered.
So what happens is there is no government funding available anywhere for these projects. We arrange 100% of the financing through traditional banks. And with terms that allow you to pay a smaller amount to offset the amount you get for the rents. We work a deal with the banks and the municipality to come up with a viable and sustainable through their banking. So there's no more government money.
we will explore
Yeah.
all avenues to see if there is any government money. Because we've become so familiar with filling out CMHC applications, they're getting tired of seeing us.
Yeah.
But we keep trying,
Yeah.
so we always say to the clients, we'll try to get free money from the government, but we all know where that goes.
Other. In past instances, there has been sometimes
Yes.
small pockets that we've been able to help tap into, but the bulk of it, what Dave was saying, is coming from financed.
Just to clarify, there's been a high demand for seniors affordable housing for years and years and years. There's been proposals made that went basically nowhere. Because there wasn't the capabilities, maybe I should say that, to do it. Certainly, we start with seniors. I know affordable housing for people with modest or poor means is also another question, but we start with one project, and that'll be part of our visioning process that's coming very shortly. So if affordable housing for non-seniors or for anybody, people of need, then that can be discussed through the strategic planning. And that would involve getting DSAB involved in part of the process for affordable housing. So that's another discussion. Mhm. Okay. All done? All right, so before you, we have a resolution to prepare a letter of intent so that we can start to look at the feasibility of actually doing this. And then it'll be brought back to council once you're done all your studies and seeing if whether or not we can sustain it once and for all in our community. So I need a mover seconder, Renee and Dave.
It is duly moved and seconded, be it resolved that council authorizes staff to prepare a letter of intent with the DESCON team to develop a more detailed scope of work of the initiative to be tabled at the July 5th council meeting for approval.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Again, thank you. You have a question?
I'm sorry, councillors, I just wanted to add one thing that perhaps if we could get a chance to work with staff in terms of developing that letter of intent, because there's some language in there that needs to coincide with our proposal and so on. I think, Mark, you were already aware of that, but I just wanted to make it so that one doesn't show up tomorrow morning, a letter of intent, we gotta go back to the apps, right? So.
No, that's all going to be worked out with Mark.
If I may, Madam Mayor, through you, Madam Mayor, that's the intent of the resolution to authorize staff to work
Perfect.
with you to
Thank you.
develop the letter of
I'm
intent.
sorry I misunderstood. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing what you come up with. That would be fun. Yeah. Yes, we have a lot of wood. Yes, there's a lot of wood. Yeah. We can make arrangements with that. All right. Thank you again for coming.
We supply the land.
All right. It's very interesting. It's pretty exciting, actually. So let's move on to 6.1, general government. So we have there's a resolution before you to retain the services of an environmental consultant to conduct a lake capacity assessment for Trout Lake. And everything's contained in your report. Mark wrote a good report. Is there any questions? No? I need a mover and a seconder. Bob and Roger. Sorry.
Duly moved and seconded, be it resolved that council retains the services of Hutchinson Environmental Sciences Limited to conduct a full lakeshore capacity assessment for Trout Lake that would include dissolved oxygen analysis and recreational capacity for an amount of $23,932 plus applicable taxes, and that'd be funded through the reserve funds.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you.
Just-
Mark?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Just for your information, now that the appeal regarding our travel trailer licensing bylaw and zoning amendments pertaining to that are now withdrawn, you will be receiving information at our July 5th meeting in terms of our proposed education plan moving forward for the implementation of these bylaws commencing in 2024. That's
Trailer bylaw, yeah. That's great. Okay, so there's nothing under 6.2 or 6.3. 6.4, we have a resolution to appoint members to the Sudbury East Community and Health Services Transportation Program Executive Committee, and these are alternates. And just to give you, for those who have forgot, we seat the municipalities of French River, St. Charles and Marks Day Warren are part of the group where the accessibility van is run by a separate committee where we have members of council and volunteers from the community sit on the committee. There are only 3 voting members, and those are the ones from the municipalities, so the counselors from the municipalities. And part of the problem is, since there's only 3 quorums, sometimes it's a little hard to get. And so they changed their policy to include an alternate or to replace. So right now, our member is Renee. So if Renee can't go, we're proposing Roger be the alternate. Our community member is Diane LaChapelle that we approved a few months ago. And if she can't go, we're proposing Linda Nadon to sit there. And that way, we're always assured that French River is and the other municipalities are represented, and that we don't lose quorum, and they can move the stuff from that needs to be done through seat. Yeah, Dave.
So the non-voting members, do they count in the quorum?
No.
Okay.
Only the voting members count for quorum, which is why
Right.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3. So not so bad when you have 7, one's missing, but when you have 3 and 2 are missing, even with 7, 2 missing, we still have quorum, but there you lose quorum, and they only meet 4 times a year. So,
And that's what happened at our last meeting,
Yeah.
because there was just me,
yeah,
because nobody from St. Charles or Marks Day Warren was there, and they didn't have spares, we don't,
Yeah.
So this is something we're looking to, if I can't make it, at least somebody else can make it and vote, right?
mhm. Okay, everybody comfortable with that? Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder, so moved by Willie and Bob.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that council appoints the following members to the Sudbury East Community and Health Services Transportation Initiative for the 2022-2026 term of council. So Councillor Rajid Andri to the Executive Committee as an alternative member, and Linda Nadon for the Community Advisory Committee.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. All right, let's move on to Emergency and Protection Services. So we have a resolution before you to adopt a bylaw to authorize fire protection agreement with the municipality of Killarney, addition of the tiered medical response service. And Rak, you're going to speak to it?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is just the updated version of the fire agreement we have with Killarney for the roads of Hartley Bay and Gautier Road. So we'll now be servicing them with medical tier response moving forward.
Any questions? I need a mover and a seconder. Roger and Willie.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-35, being a bylaw to enter into a fire protection and tiered medical response services agreement with the municipality of Killarney, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Let's move on to 6.5.2, which is a resolution to award the purchase of bunker gear lockers for the fire department. Rock?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. During the 2023 budget deliberation, 35,000 was requested for purchase for bunker gear lockers and was approved in the capital budget, excuse me. The request for proposal for bunker gear locker was sent out on May 1st, and a submission deadline was June 1st. There was 4 submissions. All of them have met the requirements. A decision was made based on the style of bunker gear locker we needed, which was for the airflow, which all of them met. And for any other style of paint that was specific for not having the creosote of the bunker gears staying on that paint and very easy to wash. It is recommended to council that we award the bunker gear locker for the fire department to Tech Forward Fire Solution for 29,000 plus applicable taxes.
Thank you. Any questions? I need a mover and a seconder. Willie and Dean.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that council awards the purchase of bunker gear lockers for the fire department to Tech Forward Solutions Limited for an amount of $29,007.41 plus applicable taxes.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Next is a resolution to adopt a bylaw to appoint our hearing officer under the administrative monetary penalty system for the period of 2022 to 2026, it's the term of council. Mel, did you? No.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
or-
No, everybody's pretty familiar with it. Okay, I need a mover and a seconder. So Dave and Roger.
It is duly moved and seconded, be resolved that bylaw 2023-36, being a bylaw to appoint a hearing officer under the administrative monetary penalty system bylaw, be read the first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to adopt a bylaw to appoint a municipal weed inspector. So currently Kevin is our weed inspector, and we'd like to add Riley, who are our bylaw officers, to work in, to be an inspector as well. So that's the idea behind it. Any questions? No? Mover, seconder, Bob and Dean?
Duly moved and seconded, be it resolved that bylaw 2023-38, being a bylaw to appoint a municipal weed inspector, be read first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Let's move on to 6.6, building and planning and development. There's a resolution before you to adopt the traffic and parking bylaw. If you recall, we discussed it at our last meeting. And Mel's going to speak to the changes that were made to the bylaw.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. So if you recall at the last meeting, a draft traffic and parking bylaw was presented to council. Resulting from the discussion, there was an interest in increasing the set fine for obstructing an officer. And there was an interest in increasing the parking fines. So the parking fines at this time are $25 for the early payment. What had been proposed at the time was 35, but there was an interest to increase them even higher. So this evening, so in the bylaw that is included in your agenda package is the same version that we had presented at the last meeting. So the 35 early payment, but we also have a schedule that is ready for council approval if you wish to increase that fine to 50.
Okay, it's the time to speak if you wish to go with what's in your package, which I appreciated that the officers are any obstructions of officers. went
Yes,
up.
so that was increased. Okay, sorry,
Yes.
if I may go back. So the obstruction of officer has been
It's
increased
over 600.
To 600.
Yeah.
So which is in line with our other bylaws.
Okay. So this is the time if we either keep what the rest was the same as what was in your package last month, so it stayed the same. But if you feel that we need to raise the parking fines, speak now. Yeah. Willie.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm just concerned, I'd like to be sure that we're capturing all expenses for issuing these parking fines, just as long as the cost covers the amount of work going into it. I was wondering if we're there yet.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I don't think that there's any fine that you could establish that would cover the costs of the officer going out to issue the ticket, to doing the research on the MTO database to get access to the license plate information, and the administration of the ticket. I don't think that there's any fine that would cover those costs, but the set fines are not meant to cover the cost. They are meant to be a fair amount to ensure compliance. They're not meant to be punitive, but they're meant to be enough to get compliance from residents.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so are we comfortable with what's presented before you right now? Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder. Dave and Renee.
Okay, so just to clarify for everybody, so it's the set fine that is set at $35
Yes,
Okay.
so the only change is the change to the
to the
obstruction
obstruction. Okay,
of the officers.
okay, so that's what's being
Yeah.
adopted. So it's duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that bylaw 2023-37, being a bylaw to regulate the traffic and parking in the municipality of French River, be read first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. And just a comment,
Okay.
there's nothing that says in a couple of years, we can't look at them again. Okay, so,
If I may.
oh, yeah,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So now that council has adopted the bylaw, now we have to go through a process through the province to get the set fines approved.
right.
So at this time, we still use the fines that are currently established or approved by the province. Once we get approval from the province, then we can use these fines.
And how long does that take usually?
Sometimes it could take a month, sometimes it can take a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
It depends how.
Like it's not a
how
year
that
thing?
department, no. no.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
I did get a mover and a seconder. Okay, all those in favor? Thank you.
I have to say one thing about that.
Okay,
That's the longest bylaw I think I've ever seen here. I mean, pages and pages and pages. There is longer ones?
the animal bylaw was long.
No.
Yeah. All right. All right, let's move on to correspondence. So we have the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, FNUM, who wishes to have a resolution to support funding in addressing Ontario's housing challenge. So I think that would be something that you were interested. And Renee, can you speak to it as our FNUM rep?
Just at our last meeting, FINUM meeting, I think we all know that a lot of the communities have had a lot more homelessness people since COVID. We've all seen the need in the communities and the funding is simply not there, or there is funding, but not very much of it. I know a lot of the cities have issues with homelessness, people sleeping on their streets in wintertime and not enough shelters. And so FNUM is just wants to make a presentation to the government just to try to get them to look at the situation again and try to give us funding, give our communities funding to help support the need for housing for the homeless people in our area. With the high costs of everything, there's a big need and it's even gonna get worse. So, they're proposing that we look at different strategies through TSAP and stuff like that to help make funding available for them for more low-income housing and that kind of stuff for our municipalities. So we want to make that presentation during the AMO conference. And so that's why they're seeking support from communities. So that's why it's been brought to us.
Okay, I need a mover and a seconder. Dave and Bob. It's a very long resolution. I'm not gonna, it's included in your package and I'm not gonna make Mel read it. So all those in favor? Thank you. You were wondering, eh? All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. So I need a resolution to adopt the items contained in the consent agenda. Renee and Willie.
Duly moved and seconded, be resolved that council approves the items of the consent agenda under section 8.1.
Thank you. All those in favor? Items, there was no items. There's no notice of motions tonight. Okay. Announcement and inquiries. I'll go around, do it any?
So the flea market on Saturday, I know they're doing really well. So this Saturday again from 9 till 3 every Saturday actually till the fall. So if you guys are out and about. Also there is the golf tournament in Minettville for the Rod and Gun this weekend. It's the first annual memorial for John Craig. So that's happening. I'll let the others speak to other events happening. But that's about it. There's, enjoy the heat. It's been really hot. And congratulations to all the graduates from Manetteville, Noelville Primary, L'École Saint-Antoine, the high school, and those that from the colleges and university from our area. So that's it.
Dave?
Just want to say congratulations to Bob on your retirement. Thank you. Thank you for all your years of service to the municipality.
Dean?
I'll echo that, Bob, but I think I've said it before anyway, but we're going to miss you. Yes. And you've been a great asset to the community here for a lot of years. I also want to just make a comment about our attendance last night at the council meeting that West Nipissing held in Manetteville. I think that it's probably shared by those that were there besides myself, but I kind of enjoyed it. And it was a kind of good opportunity for us to have a development of a bit of a working relationship with our neighbors over to the east. And a chance for us to see how they operate, and perhaps someday we'll have them invited to come and attend one of our council meetings and see how we do it. But it was interesting, and it was a good, I think, a good move just in terms of our relationship with our neighbors next door. So,
Yes.
and I enjoyed the whole thing. We had some interesting comments at the end of it, and a few laughs too. So went well. Thank you.
Willie?
I too would like to say congratulations, Bob, all the best in your retirement. I wish I would have got to know you a little more, but what I have learned and had the opportunity to know, I'm very impressed. I wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll echo Dean's sentiments about last night. I think it was a very a political move, and but just to be able to speak one-on-one with our neighbors to the east. Last Wednesday, I had a chance to go into Killarney and attend a Killarney meeting, and the same thing. You see how they work, how they do things. Different mentality, but I was very well received. Councillor Carrier, don't run away after the meeting. I am also golfing on Saturday on the John Craig Memorial Golf Tournament, and we have a side bet to make. And I would just like to say that I am hosting my cancer tournament August 19th again this year. Proceeds will be going to Camp Quality again. And I would just like to mention that Camp Quality lost a very good member approximately a month ago, Tibby Tonello. She was one of the founding members, and she will be missed. And I just want to mention her name for all the good work, all the volunteer work she's done in our community.
You, Roger? Oh, sorry, you're not done. Sorry.
I just want to say a few words on the presentation we had by the Dave, Keith, and John tonight. That is very exciting. It's maybe we can't put a spade in the shovel in the ground right now, but let's put a spoon and really take this and be serious about this. This would be a great project for our municipality. And yes, like we heard a few times last night from a gentleman sitting beside me, I'm done. I've spoken enough.
That is sweet. Okay, Roger?
Also from myself, Bob, congratulations. I think you are looking forward to it. And I can tell by the smile on your face that you can't wait for the day. I know I went through it a few years ago, And right now it's great. Thanks again for your services. I have a note also, after listening to these gentlemen tonight, it's a very good thing. Hopefully it comes our way. But like I asked them, a design build is very good because we have very little work to do from that side. But we have to have, I like to say, we should have somebody from council working along with them. I know it's a bit early, but from the time the shovel goes into the ground, because even though it looks like it's all from their side, the municipality will still have responsibilities or in case, for example, safety, if somebody gets hurt on site, we have to have somebody there that would try to prevent that as a safe, not as necessarily a safety officer, but just to keep an eye on things so that there's nothing bad coming back on the municipality. So if anybody, if everybody agrees, I know it's very early. I'd like to put my name in for that. I was in construction for 43 years, and that's why I knew what they were talking about when they said design build. So just in case
Yeah.
it's needed.
Mark
ready.
can answer some of it, but we have to be careful about council. Our job is not operational, our
Mhm.
job is policy. So of course, they're coming back to us. The letter of intent is just for them to find out if there's a need. We all think there is a need, but it's going to be research based and what type of needs are going to be done and what kind of proposals they are doing. And that's up to the staff to do that. So we give them the tools to do. Once the shovel goes in or the spoon, then no member of council is going to be on site. No member of that is not our job. That is where that would be a violation of the municipal act for us to do the work of what's supposed to be staff. We have some really competent staff, and part of the proposal will include all the health and safety measures that are required. Mark, did you have?
Excellent answer, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
So not to add much more, but there'll be structures proposed. There's a whole deeper depth proposal that will be coming back to council.
Yeah.
The first initiative is to enter into a letter of intent to give them the authority to move forward with the studies, the research, and then come back and all of these will be discussed. And as the contractor mentioned, there'll be a further contract to enter into when it comes time to construction, where a lot of those clauses will be taken care of.
Yeah.
Including the non-for-profit that they mentioned, the non-for-profit corporation that would run the operation and then answer back to council.
Okay. Anything else, Roger?
That's all for me today. Thank you.
Great. Okay. For me, I'd like to, first of all, and I know they're watching over at West Nipissing as Mayor Kathleen usually watches all our meetings. And I want to thank her for the invitation. It was good for us to go and be present. And as Dean says, you know, what was your line? Hearing your problems in your municipality, we don't have any problems like that here. So I thought that was a great line. That was a great line. So, and yes, I think working with other municipalities as our neighbors is a really good thing. So on Saturday, there is also the powwow. So I've been invited to go, as well as Roger will be attending, and Willie, and we'll be representing the municipality during the grand entrance. So we're honored to do that for our neighboring First Nations. Also, this week, I forget what day, Saint Antoine hosted a Torch for Life. That was Monday, right? Okay. The week's been long. Oh, it's only Wednesday today. I just realized that. Oh my God. So hosted a Torch for Life, where the OPP and our firefighter so imagine this. So the OPP car is there to lead all the students down the roads, and our fire chief was there with his vehicle. No sooner did they start walking, off he goes. So there was a fire. So he was replaced, not as good. The kids were wondering where you went. So once they found out where you were, it was great. But it was wonderful to see that they came here to our school and to see our school, Saint Antoine, participate in that. And I didn't walk. I sat in the car and I waited for them to come around the corner and I took pictures. So, and that's it for me. Anything from the audience? Yeah, can you go to the mic? Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Joan Mercer Fryer, and some of you know me. I've been around this municipality for a while. I was a teacher at the high school and then most of my career at Manapa Public School, but now retired. And Bob, congratulations on your retirement. I think we were basically at school together. I just wanted to talk about, I went to the Ontario Liberal Convention at the beginning of the year and made a contact with Jordan Hudima, who is the campaign director for Nathaniel Erskine Smith. And he's running to be leader of the Ontario Liberal Party. And he's going to make a stop in French River. It's going to be at Dee Dee's on Monday at 9 a.m. So I thought, he could end up premier, you never know, or he could end up in the provincial cabinet. And it's always good for local politicians to have contacts with anyone you can. He is an MP right now for Beaches, East York. He's obviously in the Liberal caucus, and you might want to bring your, issues. He's here to hear about issues that you have in the municipality.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right.
Anything else? Oh, Mark? Okay.
Yeah.
How
Thank
can I
you.
forget
Thank
that?
you, Madam Mayor. As council is aware, today was our kickoff to our recycling curbside day for the full of the municipality. That being said, I want to thank the staff for trying to get the word out in terms of the change of day of the people that were on the pilot project into the new day and getting the new people on board. The message got out because a lot of the recycling was out. That being said, things never go off without a hitch. We did have some circumstances. I think the trucks as of 5:30 were still out picking recycling. There was 2 trucks from GFL within our community. There are areas that were missed. We are attempting to pick those up. And please, if you do receive calls, emails, or texts, just let the people know to call the municipal office, and we're making arrangements to have the missed areas picked up tomorrow. So please be patient. It takes a couple of runs to get used to all the different areas of the municipality that need to be picked up. That's the message I wanted to leave with council. But other than that, it was going very well. And I think, I'll let council talk about Canada Day. It's a political thing.
Yes, so don't forget, we have all our activities set for Canada Day, which is coming up very short. Oh, is it July 1st? Yes, so all of us will be working the barbecues and handing out the hot dogs. And Albin, it's over at the ACC in Albin. So we're hoping to see hundreds and hundreds of kids and adults to enjoy the day. And I know that I've been getting calls. I know I'm looking at you, Rock. People are asking about fireworks. And so the decision's going to be made tomorrow. So my suggestion is watch Facebook or social media, and it'll be posted whether or not there will be Facebook. However, even if there's no fireworks, the activities are all going to occur. So we encourage everybody to attend. Okay. And with that, I need to, moving on, I need a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Moved by Denny and Dave. All those in favor? Thank you. And before I move to up for a resolution to adjourn, again, Bob, I wish you the very, very best It's been a blast working with you for the last 9 years. And I will always look at one of those accessible washrooms, never, ever in the same light, ever again. And on that note, with our best wishes and love, we wish you all the great things in your retirement. Resolution to adjourn. Renee and Willie, all those in favor? Thank you. Okay, stay put because we're running behind. We have 2 more meetings.